Hey everyone, and hail to the fellowship. We thank you guys for tuning in. I am your nerdy normie reviewer, the Elvin Barber, and joining me is the lure loyalist himself, TC, the Token Cripple.
Aloha.
And we are those guys. Today, TC, we are talking episode 2 of The Last of Us. Do you want to kind of go first? Or you want me to go first? What do you think of the episode?
I'll go first. Why not?
Okay.
I thought it was pretty solid. I do like that they're doing the flashbacks. To how we got here at the beginning of the episode. I hope that's something that keeps going. Um, and I like the characters. It it seemed pretty solid. I like the fact that it was only really the three of them the entire episode. So
Mm-hmm.
So it gave us a chance to get into their heads without having a bloated cast, which is an issue that a lot of shows run into. Um, like I said, I like the characters. I They were dropping the f bomb a lot, and I get that it's post apocalyptic, and I'm no prude, but it seemed like they were just saying it to be edgy. You could dial it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty solid. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So I pulled up this tweet here. It says episode 2 of The Last of Us had the largest week 2 audience growth for an HBO original drama series ever. And I do believe that. From my POV, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a solid episode. I did take some notes. Aesthetically, the show continues to look great. The post-apocalyptic scenery is spot on, at least in my eyes. Very reminiscent of the game. The characters, aside from Tess kind of leading Joel around and being more assertive, I didn't mind her character as much. Especially since there was like the payoff of her dying at the end of the episode. I just chalked it up to all that taking place to kind of put an impact more on her death. Ellie, I know. I think she's just trying too hard. I think Ellie is just trying way too hard. I know in the game she's supposed to be like more precocious and clever and eccentric, but I think in the show they really just dialed it up just way too much. And I mean, even you notice it with the f bombs being dropped. Like, just dial it down, dial it back just a smidge. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, overwhelming and over consuming. It's fine. She can still be a character, but the I don't know, when they do that, when they dial it up like that, it kind of makes her unlikable, like even more unlikable, because it's already hard seeing this actor portray this character, let alone having her amplified as far as her personality traits. So, in regards to dialogue, once again, they respect the source material by incorporating what's used in the game, and they put that in the show. There's a lot of scenes where I've recognized this. I do love the scenes where it's just Ellie and Joel. Like, those scenes I really did resonate with as far as seeing them in the game. So those scenes are familiar to me. I did like those a lot. So I know Tess being out of the equation now going forward, I feel like it's probably going to get better. I'm hoping it gets better, but I guess we'll see. I do love the clickers, the scenes with the clickers. Definitely felt like the game. Definitely gave me those vibes. Very well done with the Clipper zombies there. But yeah, the big issue for me yet again, it was, so the show is just like such a slow burn. Like the beginning is good. I like, like you mentioned, the flashback about, ground zero, what took place and what happened. But everything after that is just like a real slow burn, and it really doesn't really pick up until like 20 to 30 minutes into the episode.
Yeah,
But other than that, I thought it was pretty solid.
I did notice that there was a lot of walking with, as much as they say don't walk and talk. There was a lot of just dead space
Yes.
where they were just walking somewhere.
A lot of walking and talking, a lot of sitting and talking, standing and talking,
That,
eating and talking.
yeah. And then, like I said, there were times where there just wasn't talking, and they were literally just walking. And I'm like, what are we learning about them?
Exactly. Exactly. I was like, oh, can we get to the action, the drama? But yeah, I feel like going forward now, it's gonna be. I feel like there has to be less like walking and talking, and I have to throw them into the fire now. I mean, now it's just the two of them. So
Yeah. Um, I was glad that they clipped Tess pretty early. From based on your reaction, it seems like she dies a lot sooner in the game.
she
Like,
does, yeah. Based on watching, based like just playing the game and then watching the series here, episode 2, I was thinking to myself, man, she's got to go pretty soon. Like if they're following the game's story, well, not necessarily storyline, but just the ebb and flow of the game, then she's got to be going pretty soon. And I kept like waiting the entire episode, and then once they were in the museum or the hotel, and they were attacked, I was like, okay, this is when she gets bitten. Like I knew just when she gets bitten. So I figured at the end of the episode she would end up dying, but her death in the show is a lot more gruesome. I mean, oh my gosh, like that was kind of intense. I don't know if it was really that necessary, but man,
I guess they were trying to go for a girl boss moment, just a little bit.
Just a little. It's like,
And
jeez.
did the zombie really have to make out with her? That was weird.
I know that's what I'm talking about. I'm just like, ugh, like it's like, okay, now we're swapping like these little cordyceps tentacle things. Like this is weird. This is so fucking weird.
I mean, they already know she's infected, so like, what purpose did that serve?
He was trying to get it in before. I don't know. I don't know. It's who knows. But yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. I mean, the episode, to sum it up, they start off with, the scientists. I did appreciate the beginning when, the government in Indonesia, and he's like, how can we stop this from spreading? Like, is there a vaccine? Like, is there a medicine? And she's like, listen carefully. There is no medicine. There is no vaccine. You need to bomb the shit out of this city and everyone in it. And it was like dead serious. And I was like, what the fuck? You got to do what you got to do.
Especially when we find out she has family in the city. So it's not like.
So she's not just saying like for the sake of it, like you need to bomb it. Like like you said, she has family in the city. She knows the consequences and the cost. And she's like, this can't, like, if you want this to spread, like you're gonna want to do this if you don't want it to spread. So, but I did.
I'm almost surprised they didn't nuke it.
Oh yeah.
No. I feel like if they know it's as dangerous as it is, I feel like if they know it's Armageddon, like nuke one city or Armageddon, like. Especially since we know, or I'm presuming it began in Indonesia, right? That's why they started there.
Right.
That's where I'm almost surprised that wasn't a call that was made, given how readily she was just like, bomb us right now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Press the button.
Yeah, I'm also surprised. But yeah, then we get to Ellie and she's asleep and she wakes up and both, Joel and Tess are just staring her down. They can't believe that they want to believe she's infected, but essentially she's immune to the virus itself. And Joel's a little skeptical, and this is the part where I'm just like, Tess, like, what's going on? Because it just seems like she's, everything that she says, like Joel just like does. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really
Takes what she says completely on faith.
yeah, like there's like not really any give. He doesn't really fight back much. It's just kind of like you said, takes it, with a leap of faith.
Especially when she's pretending she is going crazy. I'm like, I feel like Joel would have plugged her. And I don't think she'd be stupid enough to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, he would have, just based on his characterization, I feel like as soon as she starts doing this, like going crazy with her head, and like doing the, he would have plugged her before he realized she was even joking. Or not even there.
I was gonna say, or at least raised his gun and, or did something. But he just kind of stood there, and Tess was like, "Don't." And I'm just like, "Okay, all right." But it was kind of weird because it seemed like that relationship that Joel develops with Ellie in the game. It seemed like they were trying to do that with her and Tess in the show. That's why I was like, I really hope Tess dies this episode and they don't drag this out for another 3 or 4, because this is like very inaccurate.
Do we know how many episodes the season is?
I believe 10.
Okay, that's solid.
Yeah, I believe 10.
I was also kind of dreading that this would be one like Game of Thrones, where every episode's an hour and a half. I'm like, okay, I'm like, it doesn't need that much, so I'm glad it was just an hour.
It doesn't. I honestly don't think it needed the 50 something minutes it was that we got. Like I said, it was just a lot of. It was very slow in the beginning, and it was, like I said, walking and talking from there, and the only action was when they were in the hotel and the museum.
And a lot of it, I didn't feel like we learned anything. Like, I didn't think we learned anything about the state of the world or the characters. Like, it felt kind of empty.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing I learned is they need to dial back Ellie's characteristics. Like, they need to dial that back. The only thing I took that I learned from, as far as like the world, is how the cordyceps are like connected as far as the roots in the ground and underneath, and how one trigger can, in one building can trigger the lot miles away.
Yeah,
like that one main, like a hub brain, so to speak. Like, that was pretty interesting. But
was it a little weird to you when they went into the building, and then they immediately when they leave, like the entire building like collapses, or at least the room they were in just collapses.
The room they were in, yeah.
And it's like, I didn't get the impression it was that structurally
unstable. Yeah. I only chalk that up to a lot of that shit happens in the game, so I'm sure they were just like, oh, we'll throw that in.
I guess. But I mean, I'm sure in the game it makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. So and then we get to the scene where they finally make it out of the, to the rendezvous point to meet the Fireflies. We find out that, they're all dead. We found out Tess is infected, and which that scene is, really similar to the one in the game. What's up?
I also feel like, now again, I've never played the game. How hard are the zombies to kill?
They are pretty hard to kill. I will say that. Like, in the game, if you're not like spot on with at least a headshot or consistently hitting their body, as soon as they touch you, you're dead. Like, you cannot fight them off.
Okay. Just because I feel like it's. I mean, the quarantine zone had like you have like 0 to 3 hours. You have like 1 to 3 hours before you go crazy, or it's like you have 1 to 3 hours before you show symptoms, and then you start to get shaky and stuff. I feel like they would know to plug people by now. It's been 20 years. They would know. It reminds me of the episode in the post-apocalyptic episode of Supernatural, where where future Dean just plugs a guy who he knows is going to become a Croatoan zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I feel like that would be the state they would be in now. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
you know exactly how long it takes. Again, you've had 20 years. You like they would have this timeline, and they would just know somebody's infected and just plug them right then and there.
Yeah, you would think. You would think.
I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me, especially if you know, there's no fighting it, and there's no cure, and all it's going to try and do is spread.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying plug anybody. I'm just like, you would know as soon as they're infected, or you would know in
or
time.
soon after. Yeah.
You would know in time to plug them before they could become dangerous.
Correct. They would start exhibiting behaviors, that represent one that was bitten. So, I mean, they're kind of obvious as well as far as cognition and your hand trembling, things like that.
That's why it's like that's one of the biggest things as far as like with zombie apocalypse games. So I feel like they would know pretty quick after a while and just be like, just pull the trigger.
Yeah, done. Done.
That's the one thing where they're like, oh, there's no saving it. It's like, yeah, there is. Kill all the infected people. Done.
Precisely. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, Tess sacrifices herself in order to save Joel and Ellie, and she tells Joel to save who he can save, and they had a little moment there, and it's very brief, and then he leaves. And
did they have a thing in the game?
it was very ambiguous in the game.
Okay, because they were they lampposted this pretty easily. It's like, I never, I forgive you for not loving me the way I love you. It's like, again, you would have known this. You've known each other for a while, based on what I can tell. It's like, it's not like you just met.
Yeah, in the game, it's kind of between based off their interaction, it's kind of implied that they used to have a thing, and they kind of got to a point where they're like, you know what, like self-preservation. We understand that self-preservation trumps everything, so we're just gonna work together to try to survive this apocalypse, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's not really nailed down, but you can tell there was something there.
Fair enough.
It's just interesting because IMDb has the actress who plays Tess in 5 episodes in this season, so I'm curious how they're going to portray her in the upcoming. Like, obviously, there's she's not going to be alive, so I'm sure they'll probably do the flashbacks. They'll have some flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably the beginning of episode flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like, okay, how do we get, I imagine probably one or two more like, here's the state of the world back in 2003, and then they'll do Joel flashbacks or Ellie flashbacks.
Right.
I'm guessing.
No. Yeah, they'll probably do both Ellie flashbacks, Joel flashbacks, how he met Tess, how they happened to cross paths. Definitely Ellie in regards to how she was bit, who she was with. I do think they'll probably show us these things as well. So So far, solid. So far, solid episode. Another solid episode. I'm wary, man. I am wary.
Yeah, it needs to speed up a bit, but I mean, they're giving themselves a chance to do character work, which a lot of shows forget to do that because they're so worried about the action quota. So, I mean, we'll see. I I have hope, but that's all the more dangerous when it gets crushed.
I completely understand. I completely understand. So overall, what are you giving? What are you giving this episode? 1 out of 10.
Um, I'd say 5 or 6, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I would say 6.5 to 7. That's pretty mid to me. It's like it's all right. It's good.
Yeah, I
It's good.
mean, again, this is, I think, unironically, the show we've had the most positive things to say on our entire channel. So,
That is true. That is true. We really haven't had too many negative things to say about The Last of Us. It's been pretty good so far. It's been pretty
knock
good
on
so
wood.
far. I know. I'm gonna knock on the wood on my desk. So, all right. Well, any last remarks before we call it?
Um, smoke if you got them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in. We do ask that you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let us know what you thought about episode 2. Share this video out there, hit that bell for notifications, and you guys take care.
Bye, everybody.